She's Facebooking. She's Facebooking. She's Facebooking. Okay.
It's actually Instagramming.
She's Instagramming. Oh, she's Instagramming.
You gonna start?
Yeah. You ready?
Your eyebrows are quivering a little.
Okay.
Quivering eyebrows.
Okay. So we're going to talk about dating, a little bit about dating, and the idea that the most powerful frame that you can have when you're dating is the transparency and authenticity frame. Okay. So what that looks like is when you're on a date, you're, instead of trying to do all these things like prove your value or signal value or impress the person or whatever, what you're trying to do is just basically enjoy or just experience being there and doing whatever you're doing. So, and
say we're sitting down at dinner.
Yeah.
And
what are we eating? No, just kidding.
Thai food.
Okay, that's okay then.
What is attractive for you to see when you're sitting down with someone who you've met once before, maybe never? Like what is the experience that would have you most enjoy being with that person?
Oh, maybe they seem relaxed.
Yeah.
If they seem happy, they seem like they don't want anything from me.
Huh.
See, I'm getting relaxed now.
Yeah, so seeming happy and relaxed and,
Yeah.
and not wanting something from you. What experience does that give you?
Less stressed. I feel like I can just enjoy being there myself.
Uh-huh. And if you were feeling stressed, like say like there is something happening and you are feeling stressed, where do you put your attention? What happens there?
If something's happening and I feel stressed.
Say we're sitting down at dinner and I am not relaxed or I'm doing
I would
something.
start thinking about other things. I would start wondering like what's going on. I would start wondering if maybe if I'm doing something wrong, or like that's the thing I tend to do, is worry if I'm doing something wrong.
Right. So like we're say like we get in a situation where you're feeling stressed and I'm saying things like, oh yeah, I know we just met and everything, but there's this thing next Saturday and I would really like you to come with me, and you know what, my parents are coming too, and like it would be a great time for you to meet them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you notice yourself drifting.
Mm-hmm.
What I imagine is coming from my side as someone who could be potentially stressing you out or is having an experience where I don't seem relaxed or stressed out. I imagine it's because I'm trying to get you to like me.
Mm-hmm. Right. You're trying to achieve something.
I'm trying to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And what is it like when you hear that? Like,
it's just kind of like very hard for me to pay attention to what you're saying. Very hard for me to be engaged with what you're saying. It's just kind of like, what's going on? Like, there's something that you're doing over there which doesn't include me.
Uh-huh.
It feels like there's something you're doing that doesn't include me. And I've seen this before when people will do this thing where the thing I'm thinking of is when they're trying to like prove their value, right? Instead of just being themselves, like your true value it's implicitly conveyed all the time. And instead of doing that, they're like trying to drop names or like say numbers or say things or try to convince me that somehow they're valuable, which implicitly says, oh, this person doesn't have very high self-esteem and this person's trying to trying to convince me of something, obviously there's got something that they're trying to hide or cover up or something like that.
Right, and then like the feeling, and like I can see like you're moving back a little bit, sort of like, it almost looks like repulsion or disgust, or there's an experience where I'm doing something over here and you want to get away from it.
Right. It's actually repulsive.
Yeah.
It's actually, it's amazing that this stuff gets like, you know, there are people teaching dating who teach that stuff. It's basically teaching how to be repulsive. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
What do you mean? What are they teaching exactly?
Teaching techniques to make sure that you're conveying value. Like cognitive techniques, right? So like all that's going to do is implicitly push the person away.
Okay, well I'm going to
In fact, I want to just say something about, I love the balance between the two of us. Like you're experiential and demonstrating, and then I'm filling in with this explanation.
Yeah, you have a lot of context and...
Yeah. So there's this thing of, I kind of forgotten what I was going to say now.
Something to do with proving value cognitively. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. The thing is, if you're trying to achieve something, it's this whole thing like in the Bhagavad Gita where it's like you have to put all your energy into enjoying the work and not worry about the fruits of the labor, and that will just come or won't come. But the more you try to get the goal, the less you're going to get the goal. And it's like that in everything. It's like that in dating, and it's very clear to see that in dating, that you literally have to not give a fuck about whether or not you impress them, whether you're going to go on a second date, whether you're going to have sex, whether you're going to just like we're fucking sitting in a restaurant and we're talking to each other, and it's like, what's happening with me right now? This food tastes good. You seem a little bit anxious. Are you anxious? You know, like, this is what's real. This is what's actually happening between us. Like, let's get fucking real. Let's make this thing actually alive. Like, because that's what it's this thing of like, what are we going to be doing? Let's say we spend the rest of our lives together, right? Yeah. What are we going to be doing? Are we going to be spending the rest of our lives pretending to each other?
Are we going to spend the rest of our lives together?
Right? Are we going to be spending the rest of our lives together bullshitting each other and trying to create like masks and fake things? Or are we going to spend, maybe we'll date for a couple of weeks. Maybe we'll spend a couple of weeks actually getting to know each other. Anyway, so now you can talk.
Right. My devil's advocate says, all right, what about the frame... whatever we're communicating to other people is always about identity, is always about I'm like this and I'm like that, and it's so that you will like me, so that you will accept me, and so
right,
that
the frame, the presentation frame, or like it's like a meta frame. It's like this whole thing about, I'm going to teach you how to set the frame in a conversation. You know, whenever you start straying off onto a different frame, I'm going to pull you back to my frame.
No, but then I would also argue...
Let me just say that meta frame, because I'm doing it now. I'm just kidding. That meta frame, right? That meta frame is basically, I'm going to prove my value to you. I'm going to be in control of this situation. It's like, what the fuck? Who gives a shit about that meta frame?
Yeah.
Like, where's the fun in life? Where's the engagement? Where's the diving deep and just living? That's the meta frame you want to live by. Is fucking love life. But anyway, go ahead.
It could be, and then like in a way that is a goal. Right, you are trying...
No, you just do it now. There's no goal. You can do it now. I can do it now.
You are doing something in this moment in service of enjoying your life more. So there's a little bit, there's something like a goal there, right? And so I'm also like bringing it back to like there is something, there is intention when people are communicating with each other, and like in the dating scenario, it could be, there's a lot of pressure on like, I want this person to like me.
Oh, right. It's very hard to get away from that frame that's automatically there, which is this is like an experiment to see if we like each other.
And it's not just that, but it's also like the very hidden thing that's down there, and you talked about it with self-esteem, is, am I likable?
Yeah.
Am I a person where I can be liked? Okay. And it doesn't need to be this person necessarily, and there are some people who are not attached to other people liking them. But right. Do I show up in the world in a way where I am either valuable or likable or acceptable? So there is like that belonging aspect, right? And so even if it's not for the benefit of the person that you're dating in front of you, there is also like this right, but this is the thing, is that there's a whole thing that's going on inside of us, right? Which is, there's a true process which is going on. Like, there's this thing of, I want to be perceived a certain way, and like, that's true. There's a part of me that's doing that,
and that doesn't mean so. The more we can get space around that and be able to be aware of that part and all the other parts of us, the more we can actually be here in our wholeness instead of being sucked into one particular little subpart, right?
Like right now, I'm noticing that when I'm trying to jump in and like be in this conversation with you, there's a part of me that wants to be smart.
Okay.
And I don't know if I'm proving it to you, or I'm proving it to our audience, or I'm proving it to myself.
She's smart.
Shut up. So there's like...
Super smart.
But it does come from a place where I can never be fully certain I'm smart. Like,
and the thing is,
not from an objective space, but just because I have either some wounding or, like there is a little bit of identity wrapped around whether or not I'm smart enough.
Right, and the only way around that is to have some space around that awareness, and then to come into the conversation like, I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to practice not giving a fuck whether I come across as smart. I know there's a part of me that's worried about whether I come across as smart, but what if I just went in and just like, fuck it, I don't give a shit. I'm just going to come in and like be me and do whatever I want to do, and like it turns out that one, by the way, you're really smart, and two, right now I seem to have an ability to kind of talk bullshit a little bit, right? And you seem to have a really good ability to notice and be present and do all this kind of non-verbal stuff. So we have complementary skills, which I'm really valuing right now. I think we might go on a second date, right? Maybe, if you're up for it. I don't know if you're liking this.
I know.
So yeah, anyway, so Sheree, do I keep stealing the conversation away from you?
Well, a conversation is a dance. And I imagine that when you do take it, like I let you lead, and sometimes I don't want you to lead.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to take it back.
Yeah.
Or I'm too scared to, or I'm too intimidated to. But it's still a dance.
Okay.
So we'll leave it at that. Don't worry.
Yeah. See, so I was worried that I was monopolizing the conversation.
It's not your fault.
What's not my fault? Oh, it's not my fault.
It's not your problem.
Oh, that's a whole other video. That's a whole other video.
It is a whole nother video.
So, do you think we can wrap this up now, or is there more to be said about this topic?
What was your intentions? Like, do you remember the bullet points?
I wanted people to really understand that the best way to be successful on a date, just pick a date. It could be in a job interview. It could be in any kind of interaction, any kind of social, interpersonal interaction. But let's just pick a date. The way to be successful on a date is to be aware of how much you engaged with the process. That's the only measure of success. It's not whether you go on a second date. It's not whether you walked out early. It's whether you fully engaged with the process.
I already have a counter argument to that.
Okay.
In the scenario of the interview or the date, there are people who make up scripts in their heads, and that in a way that's engaging, right? Like, I'm engaged with how much I care about this thing that I'm about to go on.
Oh no. Okay. Definition of engagement.
Yes.
Definition of engagement is to bring as much self-awareness as possible, not self-consciousness, self-awareness, like what's actually going on with me, especially around areas where I'm trying to achieve something, and hold those things gently and with care and love, those parts of myself, and just come back to this commitment to transparency and authenticity. Like if I'm stuck, right? If I'm stuck, I don't go to some pick-up line script thing. Oh, I need to do some more adjusting of, oh, she's higher than me, I have to go higher. All this bullshit. You just go, oh, I'm stuck, and you say, oh, I'm really stuck right now. I don't know what to do. I feel embarrassed.
Yeah. So.
And then it's like, bam, right through, right? We've cracked through, and all of a sudden we're engaged and we're alive, right?
So what I'm hearing is, if you pay attention to what's happening, and not try to lead the conversation somewhere or try to make it go somewhere in a way that's leading it away from what's ever happening. Yeah. I mean, if you get into the train where you're talking about something really exciting for the both of you, and you're tracking oh, this is really exciting for me and I like it, then there's that one piece. And there's also the piece of when you said when you get stuck, or when you're done talking about that one film or whatever, then it comes back to, wow, I really enjoy talking to you right now, or oh, I feel really nervous because we just both went silent.
Yeah.
And so it's coming back to the moment.
Yeah, and it's a commitment to coming back to the moment, being self-aware as much as possible, and having the goal of having no goal, and for the goal of succeeding, right, at the date. Like the goal, it's like kind of, you have to just step back and be like, overall, I want my life to be more fulfilling and rich, right? And the way to move towards having your life be more fulfilling and rich is to practice engaging with each moment in the way we've just described as much as you can, and that especially includes situations like dates or very challenging interpersonal situations.
Okay, so let's go back into the restaurant and we're having Thai.
Okay.
And I say something like, wow, I'm just noticing that I'm talking really fast, and I think it's because I'm trying to impress you, and I think I like you, and I really want you to like me
Oh
too.
my God, it makes my heart flutter.
Yeah.
When you say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my heart goes, it kind of went, it's kind of, oh, that's kind of exciting that you're saying that to me. And it's like, it's almost like you're flirting with me, but it's weird because you aren't flirting with me. You're just kind of, you're just revealing it's like you're lifting up your something, but you're showing me your heart.
Like my skirt?
Yeah, your skirt, but it's not your skirt. But you're just, but you're being vulnerable, because I could be like, yeah, you're talking too much, you stupid bitch, get out of here. But obviously no one's going to do, actually no one ever actually does that. And if they do that, good. It's like, who cares, right? Then it's like, oh, interesting. That was an interesting response.
Yeah, and vice versa. If you were to share like that with me, even if it's not, I mean, there are different levels of authenticity, and I think there are like, here's naming the moment, and then if you want to take it to this edgier, deeper level, it's like that's a level of vulnerability, like what Duncan just said, and even if I didn't share something that's so vulnerable as like, I like you,
do you know what
I'm
happens
afraid.
is sometimes you talk. No, I'm just going to give you an example. Sometimes you talk. Sorry, I want to let you finish.
Thanks. I'm trying to go back to my thought. I think that's an aside, and I think that should be another piece.
Okay.
Vulnerability.
But when you talk, and it's like, I'm just giving you an example, right? You're talking, and I wasn't listening totally to what you're saying, and I felt embarrassed, like I wasn't listening to what you're saying. But then I realized the reason I wasn't listening to what you're saying is I was so transfixed by the movement of your lips, right? And I really love the way that your lips move. I mean, so can you hide your lips from me, please?
So what I experienced when you said that to me was, I felt embarrassed, but I also felt more aliveness. Like I can feel like my spine like with like little like shivers running up and down, and I just noticed like the feeling that I get when I have a crush or like I'm flirting or
so the camera just switched off after 17 minutes. Apparently it's a known problem, so we lost the last part of our video. So where were we at the end of the bit that we got?
I was telling you what I was experiencing when you told me what was happening for you.
Oh yeah.
And I'm wondering what that was like for you, for me to reflect back.
When you were doing that, I was starting to get turned on.
Yes.
And then it seems like, so it's this amazing thing where we're actually really engaged and really like enjoying the experience, and it's not involving me trying to prove to you how much money I make or what my kind of car I have or what kind of, where I live or my career. Same either way. It's like, it's actually about us just being with our current experience and just sharing and being transparent and vulnerable and authentic, that leads to what's actually a powerful flirtatious energy.
Mm-hmm.
And we're carrying that with us all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's available to us all the time.
Mm-hmm. I would love to see you do another video on vulnerability and when it feels good to share and when it doesn't.
Okay. Now there's someone vacuuming.
I know.
It's what? Actually, I hope I started recording. I think I started recording. Anyway, so that's the end for today. So like, comment, share, tell your friends about it, send us gummy bears in the mail.
Or checks.
or checks or cash.
Or chocolate.
And we'll see you for the next episode of this, whatever it is this is.
Oh, he's so cute. He's so cute. Look at these cheeks.